all or most of us have at least experienced one mental health crisis in our lifetime. And I could tell you with absolute certainty that I'm one of those ones. I heard my mom when I was 4 years old that I was diagnosed with a speech problem. I couldn't speak that well. I had a stutter. I had a very severe stutter that I eventually developed facial tics. And eventually I started with this condition that we say in psychology and psychiatry, selective mutism, which means that because of my anxiety, I only spoke to certain people that I trusted and avoided the others that I did not trust. I had severe social anxiety and a little bit of sadness / depression. And so fortunately, my parents found a speech pathologist over at USC where they focus on very intense speech therapies along with psychological stuff too. And so when I started my undergraduate school, I focused a lot on psychology and biology. And so I worked with a psychiatrist there who served as my mentor named Gerald McGuire, who also stuttered as well. And so we did a lot of research in brain imaging. We were investigating different medications for the treatment of stuttering. And what I realized during that time is that that model that we were using for stuttering and its treatment implications could be applied to other diseases and disorders that are in psychology and biology and psychology and psychiatry as well. So that is really the precursor that had me open my research center, NRC Research Institute. So things were going great and smooth until COVID hit. Everything was incredibly unnatural to be closed in and to have limited social interaction. And during that time, I started to get a lot of phone calls. I was being requested to do psychological and neuropsychological evaluations, but 75% of the cases were in adolescents. And at that same time, I was getting phone calls from educators around there. And one of my best friends is a high school math teacher, and he unfortunately had a 16-year-old female that killed herself. And the phrase that he mentioned to me that really sticks with me is that we're not trained to deal with this. And that's when I bumped into Glenn around the same time point, and I said, Glenn, I really think that we're on to a huge mental health crisis, not like the one that we've been hearing for the past 15 years, but a real one. And unfortunately, this was not an exaggerated statement. There is a group of researchers, Sarah Lipson, and she surveyed information of over 350,000 undergraduate students that were surveyed between 2013 to 2021. And what she found is that when you compared the 2020 and 2021 group, there was an increase of greater than 60% of the students that were suffering from at least one or more mental health condition. Now, the CDC provided information just a few weeks ago about the completed suicide rates. So provisionally in 2021, 6,468 individuals killed themselves between the ages of 15 to 24 years of age, okay? That, let's humanize that a bit, okay? 6,468. They could have been students in high school. They could be undergrads, graduate students. They could be sons and daughters, friends. So what could be the causes of such an increase in mental health issues? I We could have a 3-day talk about this, but one thing we could agree on is that the pandemic caused unprecedented changes in how we live our lives and how we socialize with others. As a clinician, I deal with people with depression, with suicidality and everything. And what I noticed during the pandemic is that they craved for socialization, but they couldn't do it. So in my view, socialization is a necessary condition for positive mental well-being. Now, what can universities do to combat the uphill battle of increasing the mental health issues? The American Psychological Association, some psychologists, including myself, have suggested using the university faculty as the first line of defense. Another thing is to create an overall awareness of mental health issues across the campus as well. Talks on depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation would be the recommended topics. And another thing that's actually, I'm not sure how novel the concept is because it's actually being used in some schools, is creating a mental wellness center. So this could be an area where individuals could go and decompress with others. These solutions are by no means in answer to what is going on in our state of affairs in mental health. But this could serve as a weapon to fight against the growing trend of completed suicides and suicidal thoughts by unleashing the individuality and positive mental well-being. We are directly impacting and sustaining the future of our children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren. I'm Tony Ortiz, and I greatly appreciate your attention to a matter that I find desperately alarming.